I just spent the last 5 minutes cutting open the pockets to my 3-year-old daughter's new jacket because she bought this new jacket that she was in love with because it was like pink rose, like metallic, and it had this fuzzy collar and these fuzzy sleeves and these fuzzy trimmed pockets, and the bottom of it is fur lined, just fuzzy, beautiful, fancy, in love with it. Then she goes to put her hands in the pockets and she's like, "Mom, I can't get my hands in the pockets." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" They weren't real. They were as faux as the fur on her collar. And then I spent another 10 minutes telling her how a lot of times pockets on girl clothing aren't real. They're either this deep or they're completely sewn shut, which completely defeats the purpose. Like, why even make it look like there's a pocket if the pocket's not going to be functional? Do you know what I mean? And she was like, "Mom, I need pockets. What am I going to do with my hands?" And I was like, "Isn't that the age-old question? What are you going to do with your hands? If you don't have any pockets to put your hands in, what are you going to do with your hands?" So I told her, "Have no fear, because I know exactly how to fix this situation." So I took out my handy-dandy boot knife and I cut those suckers open. She could put her hands in there and put her jacket on. She goes, or I was like, "All right, put your little mitts in those pockets now." Sure enough, her little mitts fit right into that pocket. And she said, "Mom, oh my gosh, thank you. Now I have pockets. I'll put my hands in here." She walked out the door satisfied. Sometimes you just gotta figure out how to make a situation fit you personally. Some people would be like, "This is a fancy jacket. It doesn't really need pockets because it's for glamorous uses only." But not her. Not my Lucy Joe. No. She wants to be able to wear that jacket whenever she wants, not just for fancy occasions. Therefore, it needs to be functional. Fancy and functional. It's the way to be, people. It's time for an all-new episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. So, I hope you got your brews ready, because we're about to get chatty. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. I am your hostess with the absolute mostest in lots of mental defects. How are you doing? Welcome back to another show. So, let's get started. So, I skipped last week because I had so much editing to do for my Valentine's look, and I knew that I was going to be behind and I wasn't going to add that much more stress to my plate. So I decided to take a break, skip an episode. I apologize if I left anybody hanging. How was y'all's love day? How was y'all's love day? Mine was good. I had a really good love day with my fam bam. You know, a lot of people think that love day is only for romantic rendezvous with partners of romantic standing. But I'm a firm believer in not always catering to what society has deemed something to be. Do you know what I mean? And Valentine's Day is one of those things. My 12-year-old said, "I don't like Valentine's Day, it's stupid, it's just consumerism, right?" And I was like, "Can be, most certainly. It most certainly can be. Or you can have a good time with it and celebrate it the way you want to." Because honestly, the only problem here is that people get on that, it's like one of those tracks at the airport, you know what I mean? Where like you get on it and it's like a treadmill that takes you where you're gonna go so you don't have to walk. It's like that. You know, we get told things have to be a certain way, and we get on those treadmills and we just let them take us where they've decided we need to go and how quickly or slowly we need to get there. And I said, that's a waste of your time. That's a waste of your time. Instead, get off the treadmill, do your own walking. Decide how fast you want to go, how slow you want to go. If you want to stop and take a break, if you want to stop and smell the roses, not just because it's Valentine's Day. I said, but you can celebrate it the way you want. You know how I choose to celebrate it? And he said, "How is that, Mom?" I said, "Well, me and your dad like to, of course, have the celebratories of our relationship, but we definitely don't feel like the stipulations of that only coincide with things like romantic holidays like our anniversary or Valentine's Day. So for us personally, we like to acknowledge and have a good time on the designated holidays, but ultimately we like to do as we please. And I said, I think you should do as you please. I said, that's why I always get you and your siblings fun things for Valentine's Day. You know, I got them each fun little things that fit their personality. You know, I got Lucy Kinder Eggs because she thinks those are the coolest things in the world, and I got her a unicorn, stuffed unicorn. I got her some JoJo Siwa shirts because I never ever in a million years thought that I would be a Siwanator, but here we are. She's a good person from what I've seen, so it's whatever. Little energetic, but who am I to judge? And then I got my 9-year-old who's really into fishing. It's his coup de grace. He really loves fishing, so I got him a giant carp plushie, and I got him a shirt that said, I'd rather be fishing, but I have to go to school, or something sassy like that. And then I got him, my 12-year-old, some stuff that caters to a video game that he's into called Omori, something like that. It's like an anime horror game. You know, and I told him, I was like, I love you guys so much that I don't think Valentine's Day should just be about me and Dad. I think that's dumb. Because there's a lot of love in this house, and a part of that love and the creation of that love and that good energy you kids bring to it. And then I also got my stepson, who's, you know, he's grown. I got him a little thing of candy too. And Lucy Jo was so excited to give it to him. She snatched it from me and she's like, I'll give it to him. And she went. She's like, Happy Valentine's Day, Kevin. And he was so excited. And then she proceeded to ask him if she could eat his chocolate. You know, 'tis the season. But it's about embracing love in our family, in our household. It's not about just the romantic whatever bullshit that society has decided Valentine's Day stands for. Or, you know, you could just only focus on the massacre. Whatever floats your boat. Alright, so on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Monday coffee, and was that my idea? Or was that somebody else's? The struggles with making choices for yourself after and through things like trauma that cause disassociation from oneself. I try to share things as I'm experiencing them on the show, and if you've been a watcher of this show, I shared based off of situations and experiences that I'm going through as they're fresh in my life. And one of the things that I'm currently going through is learning how to adapt and develop and find balance in who I am now as a free-thinking individual outside of the environments that I used to grow in not so positive energies and being involved with, you know, somewhat toxic, abusive energies. I still have a hard time making claims about where I've been and acknowledging them and sharing my truth because I still also struggle with speaking freely. You know, I lived a lot of my life constantly having to put how others thought and felt about me, my life, and my choices before my own. And when you live in an environment like that for your entire being, it can be hard to break out of. Do you know what I mean? And so I am now in my 34th year. I'm a big believer in the 33rd year of your life being a huge, like, changing point. If you haven't looked up the rule of 33 or what 33 means or what it means to be in your 33rd year of life, I highly recommend doing it because even if you don't believe in that type of stuff, I think that it still has a lot of things that'll help you kind of understand and maybe connect with yourself if you just happen to be 33 and also at these pivotal points in our life. And I think that when you turn 33, you know, you're not just 30, right? You're not 30, flirty, and thriving where it's like all exciting and you're kind of into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Into the thick. Sorry, that's my ADHD. I apologize. You're kind of really into it and you're really starting to make friends with yourself and you're really starting to question things and your soul and your spirit and your mind and everything might be getting pricked by different thoughts and ideas and awareness. And I think that at that point in your life, it's like this really big game changer. And I know for me and even my good friend Sarah, who is in her 33rd year, you know, we talk about it a lot. And it's something that I think that is a point where you have to start making really big choices for yourself. And it's one of those points where it's like a turning point. Are you gonna go this way? Are you gonna take this new road? Are you going to be brave? Are you going to be open? Are you ready to face the challenges within yourself? Or do you want to keep going down this road that's mostly directed by other people, that's comfortable, that's complacent, that's dictated by past people, past fears, past challenges, past traumas? Like, where are you going to go? You going to turn back? You going to keep going down that road? Or are you going to go down this new road that, although can be really terrifying because most of the things on that road involve you really self-reflecting and standing up for yourself and making demands for yourself and being firm in your own choices and your own beliefs and no longer letting outside influences do the dictating for you? And I think that once you make that choice, and you really dedicate and commit to that choice, it does open up an entire new door to something else that can be really challenging. And one of those things is making choices for yourself. Feeling worthy of making choices for yourself, feeling confident in making choices for yourself, and not feeling selfish for making choices for yourself and solely for yourself. And right now, I'm at that crossroads. So I thought I'd share about it. Do I look pale today, or is it just that I'm just that sexily pasty? Is sexily even a word? Probably not. It is now. So I personally struggle with a lot of inner dialogue. Sometimes so loud that I want to even jump out of my own skin. And unfortunately, that's just not really a choice that you can make in a positive way. Do you know what I mean? And I have a lot of thoughts and ideas and feelings and wants, but I struggle with if they're for me, if they're ideas or thoughts or wants or desires for me solely. I have a really hard time like registering and processing those as suitable or okay to have, and then even more so trying to go after them or dedicating any of myself to them, because I'm a doormat. That's the easiest way to say that. I'm a doormat. So because I've spent so much of my life dedicated to other people and other people's wants and other people's ideas, not only to cater to their own wants and ideas, but their wants and ideas for me and for my life. And because of that, sometimes I struggle with going, you know what? I want this, and I should have this, and I should be allowed to go after this, and nobody should be allowed to make me feel bad for saying I want this, I want to do this, and dedicating myself and my time to it. But to allow myself to put me first is a struggle for me, because I'm used to other people's ideas superseding my own, and that being my sole direction. So, oh, you want to do this? Well, that's great and that's fine, but unfortunately, that's really selfish, and you should consider this, that, and the other, and you should consider these people and your family and your kids and your husband and your this and your aunts and your uncles and your grandmas and those people down the street that you're not really connected to, but they know about you, right? And you've had lunch a few times and your kids have played out in the middle of the street, and your choice could affect them in their relationship with you, because ultimately whatever you do is going to affect your relationship with other people, and because they like you and they're investing into you, you should be considering how they feel about your personal choices. And if they have a choice that they feel is better fit for you, you should just take their advice, and you should just do what they've chosen instead of what you've chosen, because what they've chosen makes more sense for you. Do you know what I mean? So that's a personal struggle of mine, and has been for a large portion of my life. It's not anymore. But see, that's what I'm talking about, how like you get to this point in your life where now you have to start facing yourself and not stopping your own progression with past functioning and past coping and past masking. Like, you have to be willing to be raw with yourself so you can advance more positively. And one of the things that I have to be more raw with within myself is accepting the fact that I have a right to make my own choices and demand things that I want over what other people may want for me. And I'm now in an environment that's really positive and healthy, and I can freely do those things. So really the only roadblock in my way at this point is my own mental illnesses. But that's just the truth. And another one of the issues is that I feel like I'm facing a lot of new realizations about myself, about my mental state, because for me, I've kind of had to blindly swim through dark waters trying to learn about my own mental health, because I've been so disconnected from my own gene pool that I can't really seek out a lot of advice from people who I would, in my own genetic lineage, history, and say, hey, is this normal for our family? And I think that it's kind of an important thing to be able to do, even though I also think that we all function solely as separate beings with our own separate problems. I still think that at times that can be a huge factor at getting your first footing in understanding that part of yourself. Alright. I'm just expelling some demons. Nobody panic. Well, ultimately, my point is that a lot of us function on this wavelength of, even if we feel like we're maybe kind of touching into our own passions, our own wants, our own desires, if we really look at the reality of it, are our ideas for ourselves really our own, or are they being dictated by outside things? And I think that if you really want to make friends with yourself and you really want to be connected with yourself, one of the most important things you need to do is you need to be real with yourself, you need to be honest with yourself, you need to understand yourself. And if all of your honesty and all of your ideas and all of your thoughts about who you are or what you want in life are seeds planted by other people constantly, then you're never going to really be able to get in touch with the real energy within yourself and who you are meant to be, right? And who you're meant to be evolves with you throughout time. And I think that some people like immediately know what they want to be, right? And they go down this path and they follow that direct path and they're so firm in it and everything goes great, and they grow up and they become whatever it was that it's like girls who, when they're really little, are like, I've always dreamt about my wedding and I've always dreamt about this, and like for me, I was always like, like what? Like always though? Like you weren't like always, you know? And I kind of envy that about people. Not about that particular idea, but I mean, some people have such a clear vision of who they're supposed to be, and they're able to like really hone in on that and chase after it and make that dream and that passion such a firm reality in such good ways that... Can you stop? My cat's using my door frame as a scratching post, and it's really distracting me. Listen, I have a hard time staying focused as it is. Could you not be putting on an entire show that's making my nerves and my sensories go crazy? Thank you. Not all of us are going to always have the clearest path right out the door. And it's going to take us a long time to figure out which path we're supposed to be on. And sometimes we're going to miss our exit. Okay? That's just the reality of it. But there's always another on-ramp somewhere else. Just make sure that the map you're following, you wrote. And somebody else wasn't like doing like Goofy's son, right? In a Goofy movie where like they were supposed to be going somewhere, but then like he like changes the direction of the map because he really wants to go to the Powerline concert, which I totally understand because it's a banging concert I would want to go to. But ultimately it ended badly, right? because you have to stay on your own course. No matter how many times people want to try to erase it for you and tell you that their course is better, you gotta stay on your own course. So that's what I'm talking about. Do you smell the honesty? Do you smell the honesty that I'm brewing? Or is that a plug for Sleeping Dog Coffee Beans? I think it is. Get ready to howl. Are you tired of waking up in the morning like you just were up howling all night long and you just couldn't get a good amount of shut-eye? And now the only thing that you're willing to roll out of bed for is a steaming cup of bean juice, but your bean juice is just lacking? Well, have no fear. Have no fear, because Sleeping Dog Coffee Beans are here. Sleeping Dog Coffee Beans. The beans that'll get you up howling in the morning when you've been up all night howling at the moon because you got insomnia or you just can't stop thinking because your brain won't shut up. You know? Is it just me? Well, right now, if you're a first-time Sleeping Dog Coffee Bean buyer, you can get 5% off your first bean purchase with the coupon, because this is the official bean juice of Monday Coffee with the Doll. That's right. Sleeping Dog Coffee Beans. The beans for you. Ding! Love you, Jessica. Kiss the puppies for me. All right. So now comes to a new segment of the show that we're going to try out and see how everybody feels about it. So if you're a consistent watcher of this show, please leave some feedback below, because I never know if anybody really likes what I'm doing or not, because there's not a lot of feedback on this, but I just keep doing it. So now we're going to be doing a new segment. And you know what that is? That's In the Headlines with the Doll. News with the Doll? What's shaking bacon in the headlines with the Doll? I don't know, but we're going to talk about some news. We're going to talk about some headlines this week, what we saw, what's going on in this crazy world, and how I feel about it. I don't know if that's a good thing. It's probably going to get me in trouble. This is probably a terrible idea. So let's do it. Alright, so right now in the headlines, there's some crazy shit happening in our galaxy. But not just in our galaxy, other galaxies. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but astronomers uncovered footprints of galactic immigration in the Andromeda galaxy. Okay? This says here that galaxies expand and evolve through galactic immigration, right? Which we understand. Like, they've been scientifically tracking it. But up until this point, the only tracking that's been done is in our own galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. But we're expanding. And recently, an international team of researchers has uncovered a striking new evidence of a galactic migration event in the Andromeda galaxy. Star motions exhibit complex patterns indicating migratory history similar to the Milky Way. That's our galaxy, in case you can't keep up. The new findings were attained using Nicholas Yu's dark energy spectroscopic instrument. That's kind of scary. I don't think I really want anything that's called dark energy being used in our galaxy. That's kind of intimidating. Anyways, it says a team of astronomers studied the motions of nearly 7,500 stars in the inner halo of the Andromeda galaxy, also known as Messier 31 or M31, you know, if you want to get like technical. They found patterns in their positions and motions that indicated how these stars originated as part of an earlier galaxy that joined M31 about 2 billion years ago. Although such patterns have long been anticipated by theory, they have never been observed in a galaxy with such clarity. The new observations reveal evidence of a galactic immigration event in exquisite detail. During cosmic history, smaller galaxies like M31 and our Milky Way served as the building blocks for larger galaxies like M31 and our own. So like, they start small and they get big. And I find this really, really fascinating. I'm going to save this link so I can share it with y'all. You know what I'm reading off my phone. I got all kinds of technology, okay? This is from the Tech Explorers. That's what I have here. I think it's really interesting, though, because so much is going on and so much is shifting. Like, for instance, they just noticed that the core of our own Earth that's constantly moving, like it's a fluid. I can't remember what exact, like, mineral it is. It's like, is it mercury? I can't remember. If y'all remember, put it in the comments below. But there's a fluid in the core of our Earth that's constantly moving, and all of a sudden it's starting to move in the opposite direction of which it usually spins. And this does happen, but it only happens at like a specific amount of time, and it's happening before it should. And now all of a sudden, we have stars migrating. And this is like one of the first times that we've ever really noticed it. Like, this is like one of the first things. So they've never been observed in a galaxy with such clarity, it says right here. So I find that kind of interesting. You have the core of our own Earth shifting directions, which they're also noting can cause outward effects on our planet and on us, right? So this is even more interesting. It means that it's not even just our planet that's changing and shifting. Literally, galaxies are also migrating and shifting and changing. Maybe that's why all the aliens are coming. If you guys want to read the entirety of this article, I'll have it listed below so you can read the actual scientific evidence of it yourself. That's a lot less ridiculous than my reading of it. So, you're welcome. But wait, there's more. See, this is just another sign that something crazy is going on in our galaxy, because also this past week a meteor landed in Texas. That's here. That's right. Most of the news articles that I've read on this are from like radio stations, which I'm not against, but from Kix 92.9 Country states, earlier this week, South Texas residents heard a loud explosion that local officials confirmed was a meteorite. Or was it Superman? Was it from Krypton? Was it green? Does anybody know? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyways, residents shared videos on social media where you can see a light streaking through the sky, followed by a loud boom that even shook some houses. Hidalgo County Sheriff Eddie Guerrera confirmed that a meteorite was spotted west of McAllen on Wednesday, February 16th. On the National Weather Service in Brownsville corroborated this with a signal that was detected on the geostationary lightning mapper shortly after 5:20 p.m. NASA confirmed that these reports of the atmospheric fireball. In a news release, they said they believe the object was a meteoroid that was about 2 feet long and weighed about 1,000 pounds. The angle and speed of entry, along with signatures and weather radar imagery, are consistent with other naturally occurring meteorites that fall. That's what NASA said. Here's my thing, okay? I'm gonna put this link below as well. That way y'all can read it yourself, because I think that one of the most important things to do when we hear about shit happening is that we investigate it our damn selves. So here's the craziest thing that I think. If you think back at like the end of last year, do y'all remember all those crazy TikTokers? Do y'all remember those crazy TikTokers that were coming out that were like, I'm a time traveler and I'll prove it? And they were all putting out lists of like, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. Well, I personally think that a lot, like all of those are bullshit, right? I don't think that they're real. And I also kind of feel like maybe they're propaganda that are put out to kind of like plant seeds in people's brains. Maybe not. Maybe they're just bullshit. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm speculating here. But I think it's kind of ironic that one of the things they all said was they all pointed out that early in 2023, alien life was going to impact and touch down on Earth in different ways. Like, I remember one of them saying that alien life was going to crash down on Earth and release like an alien organism that was going to affect us, or then there was another one saying that alien life was going to like touch down and make contact with us here. And now all of a sudden we got balloons, we got spaceships, we got meteorites falling to the ground. I don't know about y'all, but if anybody has seen a movie or two, this is how this shit starts popping off. Somebody better get Will Smith to start coming around and smacking these motherfuckers back into their spaceships, unless they're here to bring peace. If they're here to bring peace, please somebody warn them about the chaos that's going on in our planet before they decide if they really want to get involved or not. Alright. All jokes aside, I'm going to end this news segment because those are the things that I found interesting this week, as I think like aliens and our galaxy and like the reality of how small we are in the grand scheme of things is really fascinating. I grew up in a really religious household, so everything was very strict and directed on like evolution, how we all came to be, and there was no outside thinking of that. So now that I'm a thinker of my own accord, I really find this type of stuff really fascinating, so it's kind of the stuff that I pay attention to. But I think before I end this segment, it's really important to acknowledge the biggest thing happening right now, and that is the Ohio train derailment, because apparently tons of people don't know about it, and I think that's really crazy because everybody knows that Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox broke up because he may or may not have like DM'd some other hoes and was like, hey girl, hey, and now she's offended, and then she took off the ring that supposedly you couldn't even take off because it had spikes in it and it'd fuck up her finger, but that bitch was like, took it off in no time. But nobody knows about the Ohio train derailment? I mean, I think most people know about it now. I would hope so. But if you don't, you're about to hear some crazy shit. Alright, so I'm going to read from the New York Magazine. It's called The Intelligencer. Okay, that's what I'm going to read from. And it states an initial cap of what happened. It says, on the night of February 3rd, a freight train operated by Norfolk Southern carrying hazardous materials derailed and caught fire in East Palestine, Ohio. Nearly 5,000 people live in the rural village, which sits along Ohio's eastern border with Pennsylvania, about 50 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. 3 days later, workers conducted a controlled release and burn off of vinyl chloride inside 5 derailed tanker cars to prevent a possible explosion, which prompted an evacuation order for the surrounding community. Now, they only evacuated, from what I've seen, a mile radius, which is insane. It's insane to me, because vinyl chloride is literally something involved in like nuclear bombs. Like it's you gotta research it. You gotta look it up. It's such a dangerous chemical. Like, this is no laughing matter. It is so dangerous. And they just set that shit on fire and released it into the air. Take deep breaths, people. What does that smell like? It smells like a nuclear bomb. It's crazy. It's being so horrifically handled that you can watch news reports where news reporters are standing in like alongside the roads of where it happened in like the water runoff, and when you scratch at the dirt, you can see all of the chemicals coming up out of the earth and bubbling to the surface and creating a film. Like, it's so thick and so toxic, and it's just out there, and it still hasn't been cleaned up. And all of these people in the surrounding areas are in the fallout. But it's fine. It's fine. I mean, not everybody was affected by Chernobyl. Some people were okay. The fire from them burning off this shit sent a massive plume of thick, black, toxic smoke high into the air. And what's crazy is I've seen the pictures of this, and a lot of people are like, those are photoshopped to look way worse than they are. No, they're not. No, that's how bad it is. Y'all gotta calm down with everybody thinking, you know, this is the problem with AI. Now everybody's just gonna be like, that's AI. That's AI. You know what? Does it got fingers? Because unless it has 9 fingers on a hand, don't tell me that it's AI just right off the bat. That's not an excuse. You can't just use AI as an excuse for everything. On February 8th, they lifted the evacuation order. But ever since then, residents have become increasingly unnerved by the official response, accusing the authorities of downplaying the threat to their health. Tempers got so hot that Norfolk Southern on Wednesday said a representative would not attend a town hall meeting due to safety concerns. Gee, I wonder why. I mean, I understand your safety is absolutely imperative. But what about everybody else's safety? What about their safety? I think it's probably pretty relevant too. You know? But what do I know? I don't know anything. I could be wrong. But the fact that they just burned this shit off like it was nothing is kind of crazy. Let me read to you the particular concerns about the vinyl chloride itself. So it says vinyl chloride has been of particular concern as it was the chemical that was purposefully released and burned on February 8th, sending a plume of toxic smoke over the town. February 8th was also the same day the evacuation was lifted, so they were like, hey, come home. Come home. It's all good. Now let's set this shit on fire and put it out all over everybody's houses. Sending a plume of toxic smoke over the town. The colorless gas is used to make polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, plastic products, which we all know there's a huge debate on, because those themselves and the production of and the release into our solar system and across Mother Earth is already not a good thing. Long-term exposure to this has been linked to an increased risk of multiple cancers. When burned, it produces the gases phosgene and hydrogen chloride. Phosgene is a heavy, highly toxic gas with a suffocatingly strong odor that is a pulmonary, eye, and throat irritant and can cause vomiting. It was used as a chemical weapon to kill 85,000 people in World War I. Hydrogen chloride can irritate the skin, eyes, nose, throat, and larynx. But please, everybody, it is safe to return home. Make sure that you put on your gas mask before you enter the community. Go shopping, walk your dog, or simply try to exist. So that's what's going on. You know, here and there. What's going on? It's a good time. But I don't know what I'm talking about. So y'all need to do some research on some stuff that's going on around our world, because it ultimately affects all of us. So that's going to conclude this segment of Headlines with the Doll. We focused on some galaxy things that are going on, and we also focused on making sure that as many people as possible know about the derailment in Ohio, how toxic it is, and how it's affecting their communities. And then, not to mention, wait, there's more, is that after this derailment, there has been several more train derailments across America. Boo, 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 boo. Like Thomas the Tank doesn't know what he's doing apparently, because they're derailing all over. It's a little sus. It's a little sus if you ask me. Don't be suspicious. 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 Don't be. If you don't want people asking questions, you should probably be a little bit more careful how you set off your timelines. You know what I mean? But again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just reading shit online. So, do your research. However you feel about it is how you personally feel about it. I personally feel that this shit is crazy. Now that we've touched base on all the doom and gloom that's going on in the world, let's close out the show on a more positive note. And what is that? It's the part of the show where we lift up a small business because we're tired of watching social media algorithms kick their butts in the dirt. Because that's what they do. They disrespect small businesses and they constantly ghost them from not only new potential clients, but from the clients that they've already worked hard to gain. So here on Monday Coffee with the Doll, we like to brew them up a hot pot of support and try to lift their names and help boost what they're doing, and ask the Doll fam to also help and get involved to help their algorithms get some traction in Monday Coffee with the Doll presents a hot pot of small business support. Hot Pot of Small Business Support is its own show. That's right, that I put out every week when I have a beautiful small business to share. And this week is going to be an amazing hand-sewn design that an only one of a kind, an amazing human being puts out. I have had the pleasure of meeting her and dealing with her through my pinup work. She's an amazing individual who dedicates her time to either playing Mrs. Claus and making children extremely happy, or creating beautiful one-of-a-kind skirts that I myself am absolutely in love with. Why? Well, let me tell you, these skirts that she hand sews are not only done in the most adorable fabrics, made with pristine quality, but the good thing about them is that it's probably one of the only one-size-fits-all designs that I have found that truly accommodates for all sizes. That's right. That's right. Her wrap skirts are so flawlessly amazing that even somebody like me who can't fit anything ever can feel confident in. Now, I know most people are like, but you're skinny, so everything's perfect for you and everything is amazing, and when you're skinny, life's so easy. Well, that hasn't stopped me from having a mental breakdown about my own self-worth, confidence, and body image in a dressing room, because literally nothing is made in a size that fits me. So that's right, this week on Monday Coffee with the Doll's Hot Pot of Small Business Support, we are going to be putting a spotlight on Baby Doll's Retro Boutique, where she makes an absolutely amazing array of wrap skirts that can fit everyone and make everyone feel confident and positive in their own bodies the way brands should be. So not only is it an amazing brand that's turning out an amazing product that really fits a broad spectrum of sizing, it focuses on making sure that women understand that they're heard, all women of every kind, make and model, and you can feel confident in the products that she's putting out. What I love most about her is that she's just an amazing, raw, real human being who goes through life just like the rest of us, and she's not afraid to roll up her sleeves, share with the world the things that she struggled with, and use them as teaching tools, much like myself. So if you guys want to learn more about Baby Doll's Retro Boutique, you can watch the new episode of the Hot Pot of Small Business Support that's going to be out tomorrow. If it's not Monday anymore, it'll be linked at the end of this video, and you can watch it immediately after. If it's not, if you're watching this fresh off the pot, fresh out the pot, not on the pot, I mean, you might be watching this on the pot. Who am I to judge? A lot of people, anyways, that was I'm sorry. I'm getting off. Squirrel. I'm sorry. You can go and find her immediately and check her out without having to wait. Her links are below. But if you want to learn more about her from me, my experience with her, and my personal thoughts on how amazing this brand is, make sure that you don't miss out on the new episode. And if you are a small business looking for some support to help boost your algorithms from the unfair ghosting of social media platforms, make sure that you reach out to Monday Coffee with the Doll's Hot Pot of Small Business Support, where we feature a small business every week if we have one to feature. I'm probably going to be cutting back a little bit so I can focus on some more projects until some small businesses are like, hey, because I think that that's probably the best way to do it. I'm probably going to be slowing down a teeny tiny bit, but if you guys, so know, the floor is open. If you're a small business or you know a small business, make sure that you guys reach out to me. There's a lot of information below that you can contact me. There's also ways to hire me as a content creator if you're looking for somebody to create one-of-a-kind, unique, real content with your products to show the world, my followers and new followers alike. Make sure you reach out to me because we can talk about creating amazing things together. But have no fear, I know marketing budgets are really hard for small businesses, and if you are looking for just a simple shout out, you can send one product that best describes and showcases your business to my Doll Fam P.O. Box, no questions asked, and I will open it live on air right here for free and give you and your amazing small business a shout out, no questions asked, because all small businesses deserve a platform to be seen and heard that are not muffled by not paying for ad space to Zuckerberg. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be it for this week's episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me know below how you feel about the show. Make sure that you leave some comments and your thoughts, because this is an open platform for everybody to share their opinions and us all to learn together. Make sure you're not an asshole, because we don't really like that here. You know, if you're going to bring your snacks, share your snacks. Make sure they're not too salty as snacks. Everybody's got a place at the table, you know what I mean? There's also a lot of ways to contact me in the description below. Reach out to the show. I can answer you live directly in an episode if you are looking for some unbiased, caffeinated advice from yours truly. But also remember, what we do here is that we learn to make peace within ourselves so we can walk in love better with others. Sharing is caring and knowledge is power. And if we can share what we learn along our own roads, we can all be more powerful together. But most importantly, remember, these are the days that fill your week. Make them as amazing as you are, because they have a lot to keep up with. I'll see you next time. Love your faces. Bye!
Words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words. But at the same time, words speak louder than actions, because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Okay,